so much for clicking on this video. I am so glad you're here. Well, today, as you can tell by the title of this video, we will be talking about, are the women who are pregnant for years, are they still pregnant? This is a question that I get asked the most often, and it's just something that a lot of people have been asking me to make a video about, looking back at the women who are more public in the community, whether or not they are still pregnant. A lot of people, I think in general, just want me to make this video because they're trying to understand when the online cryptic pregnancy group started and how the idea of a pregnancy of years was developed, like how this all came about. I found it easiest to kind of go back and remember who influenced me the most while I was doing my research into being pregnant but testing negative, or having a pregnancy with little to no HCG. So back when I thought that I was cryptically pregnant, I thought I was testing negative due to many different reasons. But I was, often researching pregnant but testing negative, or being pregnant but having little to no HCG in your system, things like that on Google is those are the terms that I was using to search. So my research into cryptic pregnancy in 2016 came from asking women their personal experience. So I actually messaged women in the groups in the community what their personal experience with cryptic pregnancy was, so that I could gather more information. Okay, so back when I thought that I was cryptically pregnant, the women whose stories influenced me the most were Neo Brown's articles on motherhooddiaries.com, Suzanne Huntley, or Suzanne H. Wheat. She changed her name to Suzanne Huntley right after I appeared on Dr. Phil in 2018. And her website, Suzanne's website, which is the Cryptic Pregnant Support and Gilmore Foundation, though that website in general influenced me a ton, negatively, in a very negative way. And then it was on that website, the Gilmore Foundation, with which I read an article by Anshin Kelly, and that's how I got in contact with Anshin Kelly, regretfully. Also, another person who influenced me when I thought I was cryptically pregnant was Elaine C and her movement videos, Suzanne Ferguson and her Doppler videos, her listening to the baby's heartbeat, and Becky Dunn's blog, Am I Pregnant or Not? I also talked to someone personally, and I have done a video about that titled My Mental and Emotional State During My Cryptic Pregnancy, where I talk about how this person helped me during that time in my life. And I will link that video in the description box below if you are interested. I do not release the name of that person for her protection. However, if she's watching, she knows that she helped me. Thank you. But let's start with Neo Brown. So this was the first, besides the Gilmore Foundation website, Neo Brown's article on motherhooddiaries.com was basically my first introduction into cryptic pregnancy, testing negative but actually being pregnant, the idea of it, and maybe even going past 40 to 42 weeks, maybe even going to like 47 weeks, 50 weeks, 60 weeks pregnant. This is when it was introduced to me, was by Neo Brown. This is not her real name, and I have done an entire video about it. I've done an entire video about this alias, Neo Brown, in an email interview. I will link that video in the description box below if you're interested. She claims to have had a baby and even claims to have sued the doctors that didn't find her son. However, there is plenty of evidence that this never occurred, that she never actually had a baby. Back in 2016, there was a website that stated she was a fraud, and the person who created the website said that Neo Brown was responsible for her sister's death. That website has since been taken down. Apparently Neo Brown did take legal action, and that website was removed. I remember reading it back in 2016 and being kind of on the fence, because this woman was explaining how cryptic pregnancy and how pregnancy of years, or believing that you're pregnant without any proof, can be very, very dangerous. And I myself at the time thought I was pregnant without any proof. And so it was very, I should have listened to it. I should have listened to that website more. I should have looked into it a little bit more. I looked into it more after I realized that I wasn't pregnant and that my uterus was empty after my negative ultrasound in May of 2016. I looked into that website more. But I should have looked into it prior to that, and it could have saved me from being sucked into the world of cryptic pregnancy. One second. Okay, so it was this exposing website stating that Neo Brown was a fraud and liar. This is what I brought to Anshin Kelly's attention on her Facebook group, because Neo's story was being used in the group as proof that a pregnancy of years was possible. And then Anshin proceeded to kick me out of the group and then block me. Real mature. I have spoken many times about this individual and have made more than I would have liked videos about this person. So if you're interested in our interactions or what happened to us or what happened between us, definitely check those videos out. I will link them in the description box of this video. I will say this, Anshin Kelly has absolutely no proof that I know of, or that she's brought forth to like indefinitely prove that she was actually pregnant longer than 42 weeks. Anshin Kelly claims to have experienced 2 cryptic pregnancies that lasted longer than 42 weeks. I believe she states that one of her pregnancies lasted 52 weeks and another one lasted 45 weeks. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. However, she did state that both of her pregnancies lasted way longer than the standard 42 weeks gestation. And like I said, that I know of, she has brought no proof or no definite proof that she was actually pregnant for that extended period of time. She obviously does have children, but whether or not those children are resulted from a pregnancy lasting longer than 42 weeks gestation is up for debate. Her claims and stories behind these pregnancies seem very untrustworthy considering my past experiences with her. So I take into consideration my interactions with her, my personal experience with her, and that majorly influences whether or not I believe somebody. And when I came forward to her telling her that Neo Brown is a known alias, Neo Brown will not lie and say this. Neo Brown is not her real name. And I told Anshin Kelly this, and this was unacceptable. She kicked me out of the group and blocked me. So she supports, Anshin Kelly supports untrustworthy information, because it's, Neo Brown is, if you're not using your real name, then how trustworthy can you be? I'm using my real name. I'll tell you my full name. On Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, you know my name. It's not a secret. Why would it would, I don't need it to be a secret. So again, if you want to know more about either of these women, Neo Brown or Anshin Kelly, like I said, I've done videos, and I will link them in the description box of this video for your viewing if you're interested. So let's move on. Suzanne Huntley, the founder of the website Cryptic Pregnancy Support and Gilmore Foundation. Sorry, I'm trying to speed through that because it's such a long title. In Gilmore Foundation. So back in 2016, when I thought I was cryptically pregnant, Suzanne Huntley was around 2 to 3 years pregnant. So that would make her now 6 to 7 years pregnant. And she continuously does not show her identity. She will not show her face or reveal her real true identity. And like I've said and just said, if you're not doing so, if you're not using your real name, and if you're not showing your face, you have to be hiding something. There's a reason around 6 to 7 years pregnant. If she's watching this video and she wants to correct me on that, she is more than welcome. But I have a memory, and I remember what she said, how many years pregnant she said she was back in 2016. I know now she won't reveal however many years pregnant she thinks she is. She stopped telling people how many years pregnant she thought she was, like back in like 2017, I want to say. But around 2017, 2018, definitely stopped telling people how many years pregnant she was, or how many years pregnant she thought she was, when the Dr. Phil episode aired in 2018. So now let's look at Elaine C, somebody who I also influenced me and made me think that, a pregnancy of years is quite a possibility. I researched this for a while. This is not something that I just, researched for a small amount of time and then moved on with my life. I've been researching this for a really long time. And, I dedicated like 2 years of my life to actively trying to either prove that these women really are pregnant and they're not getting the care they deserve. After appearing on Dr. Phil and having women openly deny help that is, we got national attention. Cryptic pregnancy as a whole got national attention, and these women just dropped the ball. They didn't accept any of the help, and the only reason why you don't accept help is because you don't really want the help. So then what's really going on here? Elaine C is somebody that I've watched her videos. I've seen the movement videos. There was a point in time in my life where I was like, maybe there really is a baby in there and they are not giving her the attention and they're not diagnosing this correctly and they're missing something. And I've dedicated time and energy into researching if a pregnancy of years is a possibility. I have put more than 2 years of research into looking into every possible thing that I could get my hands on to find real credible evidence or an actual real case that had, enough information to prove that a pregnancy of years or a pregnancy going 48 weeks, 50 weeks, 60 weeks, and still having a healthy baby. And Elaine C is one of the people that intrigued me enough to do this research. And so when I say that a pregnancy of years is physiologically impossible, I'm saying this from a point of view that I have exhausted. I have exhausted so many different search engines and resources trying to find conclusive and undeniable evidence that a pregnancy of years is even fathomable, let alone, actually occurring to these women. And unfortunately, Elaine C has recently made the ridiculous claims that she can see the spine and ribs of her unborn fetus using an ultrasound machine that she rented by sitting up while she is scanning herself. So she decided to rent an ultrasound machine, and while she's scanning herself, she decided to sit up, and that's when she got this image of spine and ribs of this baby. But this ultrasound machine is somehow unable to see the rest of the baby, such as the head and the skull and the lungs and the heart, and maybe a face, the arms, the legs, and the other parts of the baby, like a beating heart, are somehow just completely missed by the ultrasound machine. Only the spine and ribs are able to be seen, and that picture in itself is not a very good picture at all. So somehow Elaine C thinks that these spine and ribs are making the obvious and intense movements she records in her YouTube videos. These YouTube videos are public. You can watch them. And if you can see this baby moving around, but you can't see it in ultrasound, where is the rest of the baby? Her latest video was uploaded in May, but the title is June 13th, 2019, which doesn't make sense because it was uploaded in May of 2019. So how could it have been recorded previous to uploading it? It makes no sense. So I'm guessing that she is still currently pregnant and that she hasn't given birth because she hasn't updated and I haven't seen anything and nobody has let me know anything. And if I remember correctly, when I came into the whole cryptic pregnancy scene and when I thought that I myself was cryptically pregnant back in 2016, I'm pretty sure I remember Elaine C believing that she was around 2 years pregnant. So that would currently make her, or put her around 6 years pregnant now. And like I said, no reports of a baby being born and no confirmation that her pregnancy has been confirmed. So I guess let's move on to the next person that also heavily influenced me into very much researching and really hoping that a pregnancy of years was actually possible, because this person, I feel for her. Suzanne Ferguson. I've wanted her to be pregnant this whole time. I've wanted her to prove me wrong. I've wanted her to prove me wrong. Unfortunately, it's not the case so far. Suzanne Ferguson is very public and is still very much believing that she is pregnant and has been pregnant. She openly declined to appear on the Dr. Phil show, Cryptically Pregnant, if my memory serves me correctly. I want to say that Susan Ferguson thought that she was around 3 years pregnant, give or take, probably a little bit less than 3 years. So now 4.5 years later, that would put her at around 7.5 to 8 years pregnant currently. Probably like 7.5 years pregnant. So yeah, that's Suzanne Ferguson. I also have to mention too that Elaine C also declined to be on the Dr. Phil show, which was very discouraging, that these women who say that they want this help, they both openly denied the help from somebody who could have given them real help. And if this was real, if they were experiencing a pregnancy of years, could have made it so that it was medically accepted. If they were to go on Dr. Phil and prove that they were actually pregnant, it would have changed everything. And when they declined to be on the show, it threw me for a loop. I didn't know what to do because I was very disappointed. I really believed that they were pregnant and could be pregnant, and I really hoped that they would go on the show and prove me wrong. And when they didn't, like I said, it was discouraging. I was sad because then I realized that they didn't want the help, because how could you get the attention of someone like Dr. Phil and then not accept any of the help, not accept any of the resources that the doctor who Dr. Phil featured on the show, she extended her services after the show to women. Dr. Phil himself, all of these women could have appeared on the show and had their stories heard, and it could have changed everything. But these women declined to be on the show, and that just made it, for me, it changed everything. It changed my entire direction. I no longer was researching into the fact that these women were actually pregnant, and I changed my focus because I wasn't finding any evidence to support their stories, and then them openly declining national help. It just made it, well, are they telling the truth? Because they're just hiding instead of, I got the attention that they said that they wanted. I got them the attention they said they wanted. They say they want this help. They say they want this help. I get them the attention, and then they just hide. Don't look at me. So you're like, well, what's up here? All right, we'll move on from that because it'll never make sense to me. It was just, I went up there. I talked about my craziness, how I experienced a phantom pregnancy, and they just couldn't be bothered with coming on the show themselves because, you know, they have better things to do than to prove to everybody they're pregnant. They have better things to do than to prove to themselves they're pregnant. Anyways, let's move on. Let's move on to the person that I've been wanting to talk about this entire video. Becky Dunn and her online blog. What was it called again? Hold on. It's called, sorry, Am I Pregnant or Not? Am I Pregnant or Not? And it was a blog that she wrote, but it was eventually deleted by her. She just decided to delete the blog. But you can find a comment by her on Neo Brown's post on Motherhood Diaries. So if you go to Motherhood Diaries and you go to Neo Brown's post where she says, phantom pregnancy to a very real baby or something like that, it's what it's called. There is a post or a comment by Rebecca Dunn. Actually, I'll just put that here. Duh. But you yourself can go read it if you want. This person, this is how I found her website, Am I Pregnant or Not, was reading this comment on Motherhood Diaries. And let's see, it says okay, let me tell you the conclusion because you're not going to be able to find the blog. So the conclusion of the blog is she thought she was pregnant. She thought she was cryptically pregnant. She was trying to prove that she was pregnant. And I think this lasted for, if my memory serves me correctly, it was like 7 months, 8 months that she thought she could be pregnant and she was trying to prove it, but she wasn't testing positive. She eventually had an x-ray that no baby was seen and no baby was found. So she realized that she wasn't actually pregnant, and she updated her blog several times after that, stating that she wasn't pregnant with a few details of her recovery. And then about 8 months after the initial x-ray and her realization that she wasn't pregnant, she decided to delete the online blog altogether, which is very unfortunate. I was very, very sad when I searched it and it was like, oh, this has been deleted. And I was like, no, that was the one online resource I had that even remotely talked about a woman's personal experience with phantom pregnancy. And it was even more personal to me because she had experience in the cryptic pregnancy world and thought that she was cryptically pregnant and thought that she wasn't testing positive. So it was basically my exact situation, but blog form. And so reading through her blog was extremely helpful to me. Once I get my son. Yes. So anyways, so Rebecca Dunn or Becky Dunn's online blog, Am I Pregnant or Not, was such a real and honest interpretation and representation of phantom pregnancy with someone who was determined to get an appropriate diagnosis. So it was something that was very healthy for me to be following because she was so determined to get confirmation and she wouldn't stop going to her doctor. And that's what inspired me to go get my ultrasound, which we all know was negative, and I wasn't pregnant. And, you know, knowing that she had the guts to accept that she wasn't pregnant and move on with her life after her x-ray did not show a baby, it helped me accept that my ultrasound was negative and then I could move on. So when she deleted this blog, it was like, no, I wish she had not deleted it and instead kept it up as basically the first resource of false phantom pregnancy. It was the only thing I could find online. And I only happened to come across it because I went on to Motherhood Diaries and found Neo Brown and then decided to read the comments of that article. And there's a lot of comments on there. But hers is one of like the 5th one or something. And I was like, oh, and clicked on it, and the rest is history. So if you happen to be watching this, Rebecca Dunn, I so wish to connect with you and possibly interview you. It would be so, so great. gonna pray about it. Please, I encourage you to reach out to me. Please, please, please. I'm not really anybody or anything cool, but I would love to interview you and let you know personally that you helped me. And I would love to say thank you to you and give you the credit you deserve. Maybe even help you rebuild that blog, because it was a very, very important resource, and I know it helped me and it would help so many other women. So if anybody knows Rebecca Dunn, maybe. Okay. So the other thing I get asked a lot are about the women who appeared on the Dr. Phil show with me, Shayna and Zona. I just want to give a really quick update on them, just because, like I said, this is one of the most asked questions. So yeah, let's go. Zona still believes that she's pregnant. At the time that we recorded the episode, she believed that she was 3 years, 7 months, and that was in October of 2018. So that would make her now currently around 5 years and something months. I don't know. Something like that. So yes, she still believes she's pregnant. She posts about it actively and publicly on Facebook. If you are interested and looking into that, please do not bully and please do not make fun of these people. Okay, so Shayna still believes she's very much pregnant. She posts about it publicly on Facebook. She thought she was around a year pregnant when we recorded the episode of Dr. Phil in October 2018. So that would make her almost 3 years pregnant now. Suzanne, Huntley, Suzanne Ferguson, Elaine C, Zona, Shayna, all these women currently are claiming to be pregnant with a baby that cannot be seen on ultrasound or any diagnostic test. These women openly convince other women they are experiencing the same thing. That they convince other women that they too are experiencing a special slow growing that lasts forever pregnancy with a baby that is slow growing and non-thriving, possibly half dead, half alive. They claim that their individual anatomy is so different that it has caused their baby to grow completely different than any other human fetus, and that the pregnancy magically lasts years and years and years and years. And these women openly try to convince other people and other women that this is possible and that they too are experiencing this. They post about it in their groups and they post about it publicly on their personal pages. This is an update on how long these women have believed themselves to be cryptically pregnant. The opinions expressed are solely my own. The intention of this video is not to ridicule or make fun of these women. It is simply to just state the facts on how long they themselves have believed themselves to be pregnant, and hopefully it will help. If you're using these women's advice or their stories as a way to make yourself feel better that you are too pregnant, I'm pregnant just like Suzanne Ferguson, or know that these women have continuously believed this and that they still have not given birth, and that there's no reports that they have given birth, and there's no reports that they have confirmed that they are actually pregnant. Like I said, these women are, they are claiming to be pregnant with a baby that cannot be seen on ultrasound or any diagnostic tests. And they are openly and willingly convincing other women that they too are experiencing this special kind of slow growing, last forever kind of pregnancy. And that's what I'm against. And that's what this entire video is about. It's not to make fun of these women. It's just to tell the truth. And if you are trying to use their story as proof to yourself or to any of your family members or anyone you know, please know that these women's accounts and these women's experiences are not going to be seen as trustworthy only because they are still currently pregnant, and they still have not given birth to a baby they say they've been pregnant with 4 years. So, like I said, the opinions expressed are solely my own. Let me know what you think. Shoot me a comment below. Don't forget to check out those videos in the description box. Thank you so much for watching. Stay blessed, friends. Bye.